Hello, my name is Doris Wang. I am an assistant professor in the Department of Neurosurgery at University of California, San Francisco. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share with you my journey from a K12 to an R01, or how to take off your training wheels and fly. Full disclaimer, this is just my path. There are no right or wrong path, and there are multiple ways to get to an R01 as a surgeon scientist. This is an outline of what I will be sharing with you today. First, I will give you an introduction to the alphabet soup of NIH grants. Then I will discuss how to navigate NIH grants specifically as a neurosurgeon scientist. Finally, I will share with you some tips that may be useful in submitting a successful R01. Understanding the federal funding structure can be a daunting process. There's so many letters and numbers, it can be hard to navigate when to apply for what. Here's a general overview of some of the grant mechanisms that a neurosurgeon scientist may want to consider. During predoctoral and early postdoctoral training, a trainee may qualify for these institutional training programs, the T series, or individual fellowship, or the F series. They can be applied during undergraduate, graduate, or medical school, and some can be applied during postdoctoral training or clinical neurosurgery residency. The goal of these early training programs is to ensure a diverse pool of highly qualified and trained scientists will address nation's biomedical, behavioral, and clinical research needs. These include the Institutional Training Program series, which are awarded to an institution. Each awardee is selected by the institution. On the other hand, individuals can apply to the F series, and that just requires a primary sponsor. The F30 is awarded to combined clinical research doctoral trainees. The F31 is awarded to graduate students working towards a research doctoral degree. The F32 is awarded to postdoctoral fellows working towards research independence, and that can include neurosurgery residents. At the end of the neurosurgery residency or as an early faculty, a neurosurgeon may apply for these Mentor Career Development Awards, or K Awards. These include K99 R00, the K08 K23, or the K12 programs. A K, or Mentor Career Development Award, is to help early investigators transition to independence. A K01 is geared towards PhD scientists. A K08 is a Mentored Clinical Scientist Research Career Development Award. A K23 is for those doing patient-oriented research, both of whom that neurosurgeon scientists can apply towards. A K99 R00 is a Pathway to Independence Award, which can be applied during the end of residency or fellowship. A K12 or KL2 is an institutional program to support scholar training for careers in a specific research area. And as one transitions from an early research career into an established investigator, then one can apply for R03, R21, DP2, and R01. There are several independent research grant mechanisms available to neurosurgeons. First, the DP2, or the NIH Director's New Innovator Award, supports early-stage investigators of exceptional creativity who proposes highly innovative new research approaches with potentially major impact in biomedical research fields. In other words, high-risk, high-reward projects. The R21 Exploratory Developmental Research Award tends to fund early-stage projects for 2 years. The R01, which is the original and historically oldest grant mechanism by the NIH, supports health-related research development based on the mission of the NIH, provides 5 years of support, and is renewable. Now, one thing to keep in mind is your early-stage investigator status, or ESI. Basically, it is a person who has completed their permanent research degree or end of their postgraduate clinical training within the past 10 years, who has not obtained a substantial NIH grant. ESI status may increase your chance of getting funding on your first try. For instance, if a pay line is at 15th percentile, then an ESI may obtain a grant if they score within the 25th percentile. Therefore, it's really important to submit your first grant before your ESI status ends. Based on reported trends of NIH funding by surgical subspecialty, the good news is that there is and continues to be a rise in the amount of NIH funding obtained by neurosurgeons compared to other specialties such as orthopedic surgery, otolaryngology, and urology. There are multiple grant mechanisms to help early career neurosurgeons. These include the K08, K23, the K12 for the Neurosurgeon Research Career Development Award, the NREF, as well as other private foundations. I would like to really highlight the K12, or the Neurosurgeon Research Career Development Program, which has funded close to 30 neurosurgeon scientists since its inception. The NRCDP, established in conjunction with the NINDS of the NIH, is a faculty training program that supports the research career development of junior neurosurgeon investigators. It's committed to supporting individuals and those from diverse backgrounds to increase neurosurgeon research workforce. Candidates may apply during the first year of faculty or even before the faculty appointment. They must have a tenure-track faculty position and commitment from the department chair to provide at least 5 years of 50% protected time for research. It is also expected that by the end of the second year of the support, awardees will have applied for a major individual award, such as the NIH-K or an R01 equivalent. The K12 provides 2 years of support. This includes $100,000 per year of salary, as well as $50,000 per year of research costs. The application process is very similar to other K applications. It includes cover letters, specific aims, and the application, which involves a research portion as well as a mentoring and career development plan. It needs letter of support from the chair, your research mentor or mentorship team, an NIH bio sketch from the applicant mentors, at least 2 letters of reference, and a budget justification. Each applicant is then invited to attend the annual K12 retreat. And for me, this is actually the best part of the entire process in the program. Here, you'll meet other applicants, former awardees, as well as other prominent neurosurgeon scientists and chairpersons around the country. You'll be interviewed by the National Advisory Committee, comprised of other neurosurgery chairs, and most are actually neurosurgeon scientists, all with NIH funding. You'll also attend various seminars, panel discussions, and talks to hear the challenges and successes of others who have built a research career as a neurosurgeon. It's a really wonderful chance to form bonds within this community. Since establishing the K12 program, the trend is very positive in that 100% of the scholars have obtained substantial federal funding within 9 years. This actually goes along for the applicants as well, as close to 60% of the applicants also receive substantial federal funding. And for me personally, the K12 was absolutely instrumental in launching my research career as a neurosurgeon. It gave me protected time to do research. It gave me resources to hire people. And more importantly, it gave me a network of neurosurgeon mentors and colleagues whom I can always call on for help. As many of you know, in order to obtain a successful NIH grant, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of persistence. And this is kind of a timeline of my grant journey. So as a neurosurgery fellow, I developed some ideas and applied for a K23 and a Burroughs Wellcome Foundation grant. It was also during this year that I attended the K12 retreat to learn more about the program. I was a finalist for the BWF. Soon I learned my K23 was not discussed, and I did not get the award for BWF. But I was lucky enough to get a UCSF Foundation grant near the end of my fellowship. So when I started as a faculty in the summer of 2018, I resubmitted my K23, and again, it did not get discussed. And I applied for the K12, BWF, J&J Foundation, as well as the Michael J. Fox Foundation grants. Unluckily, I was one of the fortunate recipients of the K12 program. And from this, I was able to hire my research coordinator, hire a postdoc, and eventually take in a graduate student. This time, as you can see, is really busy. I spent a lot of time writing, also obtaining all the regulatory processes to perform my research, and also at the same time collecting data and performing analysis to write for other grants. So what do I do after getting a K12? Apply for more grants. K12 is a great start, but you actually need a lot more resources to run a lab. So after K12 was funded, I learned that my BWF was also funded. I applied for the Michael J. Fox Foundation grant again, and at the same time applied for 3 UCSF grants. Luckily, all of these were funded in 2020. So finally, I was able to relax and take a breather. Had a baby at the time, but actually this was also an important period in my lab in which I filed an FDA IDE application for my research. Also started recruitment for my study. And just about a year ago, I started applying for other grants, such as the VA Merit Grant, and I applied for the DP2. Both were rejected. And then in early 2022, I submitted my first R01, and it was successfully funded on the first round. So the reason I decided to go for an R01, or multifactorial, one is the timing. I had begun my clinical study. The recruitment was going well. I got a lot of great preliminary data. And secondly, I just wanted to get feedback on the grant since I didn't expect it to be funded on the first try. And I need time for resubmission. Finally, I was just really excited about this work. I think it is a really interesting clinical problem that I'm trying to solve and with potential to help patients. And in terms of writing a successful R01, there's always a scientific question under study, the significance, novelty, and innovation. And then the more important part, I think, is how the science is communicated, which is grantsmanship. An R01 is scored on these 5 criteria: significance of the problem, the investigator, innovation, approach, and environment. And you get from 1 to 9, 1 being the highest, 9 being really bad. And in terms of, kind of how I approach this, significance is why is a problem important worth solving? How answering this question will impact human health. Second, who has the expertise to help you solve this problem besides yourself? Therefore, assembling a really excellent team of investigators with previous background of working together is key. Third is innovation. You have to convince the reviewers that, this is novel, either conceptually or technologically. And you have to also make sure that your methods are sound, you have good control, statistical power to solve and answer the question you're trying to propose. And lastly, you need to highlight the strength of your institution or those of your collaborators and convince the reviewers that you're in the best environment possible to solve this. And some of the things I found very helpful when I started writing my R01. First is start early. Formulate a very nice specific aims page and pass it around. Get as much feedback as possible from mentors, colleagues, as well as NIH program officers. Second, read other successful R01s from those in your field to see how they frame their question, how it's written. And then third, fourth, and fifth points are grantsmanship. Make sure every sentence is in the grant for a reason, follows a nice logical flow, write clearly, concisely, make sure figures as well, figure legends are legible. And then finally, have multiple people read it. Have those within your field, with outside of your field, colleague, friends, family. The more people who read it, the more clear your grant becomes. And here are some of my final thoughts. As with everything in life, for things to work out, there's hard work, talent, and a component of luck involved. I was incredibly lucky to receive an R01 on the first submission, even though I had doubts and sometimes didn't think I was qualified or was ready. And I want to leave you with this quote: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So even when you have these doubts, you just got to take the shot sometime. So I wish you the best of luck, and thank you so much.